Hey, what's up, you guys? Welcome to this week's video. So, I wanted to record this after I saw a comment on the last video that I made a week ago or so, where somebody was feeling very overwhelmed because it felt like to them that manifesting is hard. And so, I figured that this would be a perfect time to talk about this topic because it's safe to assume that this is something that a lot of people struggle with. Um, Feeling like this is really difficult or feeling like this is challenging. And what do we do if that's how it feels? And what do we do if it feels like manifesting is too damn hard? So, if you enjoy videos about manifestation and conscious creation, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and do not forget to hit that thumbs up button and hit that like button. That'll help the YouTube algorithm do its thing and help this video spread out to a wider audience and get this people some helpful information so it doesn't feel like such a challenge all the time. Anyways, when it comes to manifestation, I think the most important thing to note and remember always is that this is a natural process. And the key to successful manifestation is the feeling of naturalness. And this gets overlooked quite often. It also doesn't help that a lot of videos and a lot of posts out there talk about how easy it is to manifest and how manifestation is effortless and it's super easy. And so if it does feel challenging, you're going to assume that there's something wrong with you or that you're doing something wrong. It's going to feel kind of shitty. So I want to be clear that manifestation is easy, yes, but it's easy from the state of consciousness we occupy. And that's the important distinction. And what do I mean by that? I mean, manifestation comes easily and effortlessly from the dominant state we dwell in, or from the beliefs and assumptions that we take as truth. So, for example, if you have a belief that money is hard to come by, or that when you need to work really hard for money and that you never have enough of it, well, it's going to feel pretty freaking natural to assume that state. It's going to come easily and effortlessly that you're broke all the time. That's what I mean from the state, from the beliefs. So if we're trying to manifest our desired state and it's opposite of the dominant state of consciousness that we occupy, that's where it becomes or seems to become difficult. That's where we begin to feel that pushback initially because it's in conflict to the state that feels natural to us. It feels very unnatural. If you're used to occupying a state of lack or of feeling rejected or abandoned, then imagining a fulfilling and loving and lasting relationship is going to feel kind of foreign to you. That's what I mean by it's easy from the dominant state, but if we're trying to imagine if we desire to manifest something that doesn't feel natural to us, that's where we begin to feel conflicted and where it begins to feel challenging for us. The other reason that manifestation feels hard to do at times is because of the conscious effort that we're putting into it. So, because we naturally do not feel this state to be natural to us, because we assume that this is something that is going to be challenging and different and we're not used to it, we feel like this is something we have to put a lot of effort and attention into. We treat it as this exercise in order to get something. And I talk about this often, but it's something that I see happen often. And it's certainly something that I did for a long time. I would try to, really force the emotions. I would try to make myself be able to feel that end state. And it, I couldn't get myself to make it feel natural. It felt very forced. And when we approach it like this, it also starts to become like a chore. It begins to feel like work. And this is a very fast way to burn out. So it's not that manifestation itself is hard. Manifestation is effortless and it's something that we're doing all the time, anyways. But when manifesting something that doesn't come naturally to us or doesn't feel realistic, it doesn't feel believable, that's where the challenge comes in. That's where it feels like it's very challenging. So, I want to make sure to really emphasize these things because there's also an expectation that is formed when we hear that, oh yeah, manifestation's super easy and this should be super effortless. When we form that expectation and then we find that we struggle, we're going to get hard on ourselves. We're going to feel like there's something wrong with us. And it's going to keep perpetuating this cycle of beating ourselves up and feeling like we're failing at this. So, all of these things are things we want to note. And we also need to remember that we're creatures of habit. And that's why some things feel so effortless and natural to us, and other things feel completely alien to us because it's whatever we're familiar with and it's whatever feels normal to us. It's the beliefs and assumptions that we carry. That is going to show you exactly the state of consciousness that you occupy the most. So, a really easy way to tell what state you're occupying is when you close your eyes for a moment, or when you just think about what it is that you desire, note the first things that come up for you. Note the first thoughts or the first feeling that comes up. That first initial reaction, that first feeling, is going to show you the state. It's going to show you your beliefs and assumptions in regards to what you desire. So if you think about your specific person, if you have your SP come to mind and the first thought is they're not here, or they don't talk to me anymore, or I don't know how I'm going to do this because it feels like they're so distant. If the feeling is anxiety, if it's uncertainty, then that is showing you in very clear terms the dominant state that you're occupying and what you take and assume as your truth. So when we say that manifestation is hard, this is why. When people are talking about manifestation as being difficult, this is why. It's not the manifesting itself, it's not the process itself. That is very natural. But it's the state. It's the state that feels unnatural. It's the beliefs and assumptions that feel unnatural. So that's where it can feel like things are coming into conflict. So, what do we do in these cases? How do we make it feel like it is something that's natural to us? How do we make it feel something that's more believable to us? Something that we can begin to accept as our new truth and as our new dominant state of consciousness? Well, there's two ways that I want to note and that are going to help you with this. And that is, first and foremost, find your path of least resistance. When it comes to the techniques, this is where we get the most caught up. For anyone, especially if you're new at this, especially if you're a beginner, when it comes to the law, we take these techniques as the ends. Like, this is the ends. But They're not. Techniques are just a means to help you get to the ends. Techniques themselves are not the thing that is going to manifest that desired outcome for you. What is going to manifest that desired outcome for you is the feeling of it, is the assumption around it. So when looking for that vessel, that technique or that vehicle to help aid us in moving into and living in the end, it's about finding that path of least resistance and not trying to force it, not trying to make ourselves live in the end through conscious will. That's going to make you feel like it's impossible or that it's difficult. That is going to help you hit a brick wall. So we don't want to do that. So play around with different techniques and see which work best for you. For some people, visualizing and imagining in the state akin to sleep is going to feel super natural and effortless. For some people, the go-to is going to be affirmations. That's going to be what charges them. That's going to be what helps them really get into and tap into that feeling. You know, there is no right or wrong technique. There is no, this is what works best for everybody. It's going to feel different for everyone. So play around with them. Play around with them and find what comes with the least amount of effort. Now, granted, as we're acclimating to something that is new and that is different, that may not feel very effortless at first. There's still a repetition that we need to get into with them. There's still the getting into the habit when it comes to these new techniques and implementing these new techniques. But regardless, we want to try to go with what seems to flow the best. And number two, this is about instead of imagining, instead of using a technique to get something, instead of looking at it like that, instead, I want you to look at it and I want you to utilize these techniques because it feels good to do so. We need to change our perspective and how we're looking at this because when we're coming at manifesting and when we're coming at conscious creation from an urgent and desperate state of like, this needs to happen, this has to happen, this has to hurry up and happen. If we're coming at it from that state, it's going to feel very challenging and the anxiety is going to be immeasurable. So no, we want to instead imagine because it feels good. And when you close your eyes and you go within, it's like you're going into your own little world where you can experience anything. You can do anything. You can feel anything. Your SP is already there with you. And it's lovely. It's lovely. You know, come at it from a place of, I want to do this because it feels nice to do it. And you're going to find that with that approach and by looking at it that way, it's also going to come with so much less resistance because you're not trying to get now. You are embodying the experience. You're getting familiar with that that experience. And that's what this is all about because the feeling is truly the secret. Sorry, I think my computer shut off. Let me just make sure we're still recording. Okay, yeah, we're still recording. So it's remembering that this is about the feeling and it's about getting used to that feeling. And we get used to that feeling when we're coming at it from a place of, this is just to feel good. This is just to feel good. And this was something that truly was a breakthrough for me. When I stopped trying to manifest, when I stopped trying to put so much of my effort and all, like, I was obsessed. I was like constantly feeling like I wasn't doing enough and that I wasn't spending enough time. I was, in parts of my day, it didn't feel like I was living in the end enough. And it drove me crazy. It drove me crazy. When I stopped doing that and I just started to go within and picture that state and just imagine what that would be like, because it felt good to do that, because I enjoyed how that felt. When I took that approach, things changed so quickly. It was night and day. And I was looking forward to going into imagination, whereas before it felt like a complete and total chore, because how I was approaching it was from a place of urgent, desperate, I need this now, so I need to try to force this to happen. No, no, we don't want to take that approach. Go and prepare that place because it is enjoyable. That way, too, you're going to be met with much less of that resistance. You're not going to have that naysay voice telling you, oh, this isn't going to happen, because that's not how you're approaching this. You're not doing it to get something. You're doing it because it feels good to do it. That is going to remove so much effort and so much of that resistance and that feeling like it's hard. So, those are the biggest ways that you can go about changing today the approach and how you are going about implementing this practice, and some things that you can do to make it feel more natural. And above all else, do persist. Do not give up. If you are feeling that burnout coming, if you are feeling like this is never going to happen, if you need to have a moment to just cool off and step away from it and just leave it for a moment, then do so. Recharge your batteries, do whatever you need to do. But come back as soon as we can to that state of the wish fulfilled. If you're noticing the 3D circumstances, if you're noticing that you're looking to the outside and you're looking to the 3D, that is an indication that it has been too long since you have felt that imaginal end, since you have felt that wish fulfilled in imagination. It means that there's been too much time that's lapsed and you've fallen out of that state. But thankfully, we can move right back into it. We can get right back into it. And by taking these approaches, you're going to be able to move back into that state without the effort and without feeling like this is challenging or hard. But the persistence is everything. And there's a reason that Neville talks so much about persistence, because it is truly a repetition that needs to form. It is a new habit that needs to form. And in order to form that new change and see lasting change, it needs to be habitual. And you can almost think of it like driving, right? Think about when the first time you ever drove a car. And it was terrifying. It was anxiety inducing. We're clutching the wheel like this. And we're super, super focused on just trying to do the task at hand, right? It was like, it felt very unnatural and very overwhelming. It felt like one hell of a challenge. But think about driving now. Now that we've been doing it for years, we don't even think about it. We don't even think about it. We get in our car, we blank out, and then we're at our destination. Now we can talk on the phone and eat food and, do all sorts of things because it's second nature to us. And that's not an encouragement to go distracting yourself while driving, by the way. Don't do that. But my point is, because it is such a habit to us now, because we've been doing this for so long, it feels like the most natural thing in the world, to the point where we don't even think about it anymore. We just get in and we just automatically do it without any conscious effort whatsoever. That is the closest thing that I can think of that describes this process and this journey. And yes, at first, there's going to be moments where it feels challenging, where it feels difficult, especially if what you desire is opposite of what your beliefs and assumptions are deeming to be true. It's going to feel that much more challenging if your dominant state of consciousness is opposite of the thing that you desire to manifest. But nonetheless, take these ideas and take that change in perspective with you. And for 1 week, stop trying to manifest. Instead, go to the feeling because it feels good to do so. Go into imagination and live in that your own little world where everything is perfect, everything is awesome. You get to shut the door to the outside here and you get to enjoy whatever it is that you desire because it feels good when you have that experience. Do that and see what happens. Do that and see how quickly things begin to change for you. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, again, do not forget to give it a thumbs up. And if you are interested in checking out my other resources, I have links below for my one-on-one coaching, my blog, my social channels, my new courses and workshops. I've got all sorts of goodies down there, all talking about the law. So don't forget to check those out. Don't forget to check out the other videos on this channel. And until we meet again, you guys, definitely make sure to take care. Don't forget to be well, and never forget the feeling of naturalness is key. With that, you can go anywhere and do anything. Much love to you guys, and until next time, happy manifesting.